Live now.
Welcome to the Node.js Core Technical Committee meeting for April 19th, 2017. And we're going to do what we always do, which is begin with the stand-up. Anna Henningsen is not here, but she did leave a bunch of things in the minutes, so I'll read them off really quickly. She opened a promises PR number 12442 that people interested in promises might want to look at. Dug into some test failures and async hooks, onboarded Jan Krems, David Kai, and the other Anna, who I started onboarding, and then I had to leave, so Anna Henningsen jumped in, so thank you, Anna, for that. Got more involved in reviewing and contributing to the NAPI C++ wrapper. She's going to be traveling over the next couple days, I think, or something, or otherwise just might be slow to reply. Doesn't actually say why, but there you go. And doing issues in PR review. Okay, Bradley's not here. Ben, you're up next.
Yeah, nothing really special, to be honest.
Okay, so I don't think Nikita's here. I don't think Colin's here. Is Evan here?
Yeah, for me, I got the pull request for crypto.randomfill landed. That's about it. Next is Francisco.
Nothing to report. Next is Jeremiah.
Miscellaneous review. Next is James.
James, if you're talking, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, I started talking and didn't realize it. Okay. So vacation late last week, catching up on PRs since then. Working on cleaning up the HB2 stuff for kind of the next round. We're looking at opening the PR against Master in June. And then work on the 8.0.0 release testing on a variety of different platforms and local system testing, that kind of thing. Next is Michael.
So we had after we landed the NAPI main PR, we had a backlog of a few PRs to land. So helping to review, land those in the main repo, working on NAPI documentation, starting to look at bringing on a ZOS machine into our CI, miscellaneous AIX disk issues, and then just the general reviewing and landing. Next is Brian White. Brian here, or did you just fill that in advance? Let's see.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, Brian's not here, so I'll just read it off. He worked on various optimizations before. He submitted a few other miscellaneous PRs and worked on a way to more easily check for permanent de-optimizations excuse me, of functions in core using the test suite, so that's kind of exciting. And next is Miles.
Howdy. So this week was not incredibly eventful, but some things went on. We have an RC for 4.8.3 and 6.10.3. I would actually really appreciate if people could pop their heads in and take a quick look at the 4.8.3 proposal. This is indeed a maintenance proposal, but as I was going through and auditing things for 6, there are actually quite a few bugs and odds and ends that came up that I thought might be worth backporting. Obviously, this is our first set of maintenance releases outside of 0.10 and 0.12, and it's starting to feel like maintenance may be a little bit more active than we're looking for if we do things this way, A, or B, maybe we just found a whole bunch of new bugs. But if people could go in and take a look and see if they think doing this release is reasonable, I'd really appreciate it. We had the first backporting team meeting. Thank you to everyone on this call or listening that came. And planning for a Node Enterprise combo that's happening later today. Next is Ali.
I don't have anything major to report. Next would be Sakti Priyan.
Dr. Priyan, if you're talking, you're on mute right now. All right, we're going to move on, and we'll come back to Sakripriyan if we hear from him. I onboarded a few people, did some updates to docs, updates to tests, update to tools, ESLint, equal rule, hooray-ish. And preparing for Code and Learn in Oakland this Saturday. You should totally, if you're listening to this and have not contributed to Node Core and you're in the area, you should absolutely consider coming because it's going to be great. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Going once, going twice, going chicken soup with rice. Okay, great. So the previous meeting, we discussed removing the legacy debugger and came to a resolution on that, and it's out of there. Async hooks PR, I don't remember what the resolution was there. Does anybody? I guess I go look at the previous minutes.
I think he was looking for just more input, people
Yeah.
to go in and comment and get involved in the issue.
Okay, so that's probably still relevant. So if async hooks is of interest to you, head on over to, excuse me, head on over to pull request 11883. The one item we officially have on the agenda for today is update -- inspect hint text, and it was put on the agenda by Josh Gavant because there was some concern about getting it all squared away before the 8.0 release. But since the 8.0 release has been pushed out, this is now less urgent, and Josh suggested that it would probably be okay to just push this off to next week when he can be here and sort of frame the discussion and whatnot. Does anybody object to that?
Nope, no objection.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyone object to what? Sorry.
we're going to discuss this next week, the -- inspect stuff. But I'm asking if anybody objects to pushing off to next week. It originally was put on the agenda because of, it was deemed time critical because it had to be squared away before the 8.0 release. But now that the 8.0 release is being pushed out, it's less time critical and it can wait a week when Josh can be here for the conversation.
The new December major cutoff for 8.0 is not until May 9th, so we definitely have time.
Cool. And then there was at least one thing that James, you wanted to add to this agenda, which was just a discussion. I don't know that you want to do more than just get information out. I don't know if you want to have a conversation about anything. You let me know or let us all know. But a discussion about the new version 8 release date. So take it away, James.
Yeah, just really quick. I know not everybody is happy about it. I'm not particularly happy about moving the date out, but the consensus vote on it was to push the release date for 8.0 out. It is now scheduled for May 30th. The intent is to land V8.5.8 with the old crankshaft in the old compiler by default. The goal is to make sure that, to give us a little bit more time to ensure that 5.8, 5.9, and 6.0 will have ABI stability across them, and then also to allow us to potentially move up to turbofan and ignition as an assembler minor sometime during the 8 timeframe. So it really is to adjust for the V8 schedule. It's rather inconvenient, but it's kind of where we're at. The December major cutoff, like I just said, is May 9th now. I will do the first release candidate probably on May 10th. Which means I'm really going to be looking to cut off both December majors and December minors as much as possible. So we have a honest to goodness actual release candidate process. Okay.
All right, is there any questions or comments from anyone else? I'll just add thanks for all the work you've been doing on making this happen, James, and everybody else for that matter, Miles, everybody.
The one comment I will say is when we ran Canary in the Gold Mine on 8, we did notice that there were a higher number of regressions that we still need to investigate, and I will be taking some time this week to investigate. I would really appreciate it, though, if everyone could just do some extra testing on 8 and just master in general, just to make sure that we can identify what these regressions are.
Yeah, I can just chime in there really quickly. It seems like a bunch of stuff has been landing with that canary in the gold mine. I also think, and maybe, I mean, I'll own it a little bit, but it shouldn't just be my job. I would, in the past, spend time periodically just doing audits of master, which I have not had time to do lately. So perhaps we can maybe set up some sort of job or some sort of consistent thing where we're checking master for regressions with canary in the gold mine. Maybe that's something to bring up to the build group. But in general, you know, we should be running this on all of our Semver major changes, and it seems like we perhaps have not been, or at the very least, not been looking into the results when there's failures.
Yeah, as you may or may not know, Miles, there's a Node daily master job that runs CI against current master once a day. And I don't know if this has been brought up with the build group or not, but you know, maybe it makes sense to have like a weekly Sitcom or a weekly Canary in the Gold Mine run or something like that. I have no idea if that is feasible. Okay.
I think for most of us, like, unless you're involved kind of more with Sitcom, it's oftentimes very hard to read whether the results are like flaky results or actual failures, or kind of decipher what those are in the output. Maybe that's changed, I'm not sure, but that was kind of my experience with it.
So we're pretty on top of like marking things flaky that are flaky. And I mean, realistically, if you at me and ask me to look at things, I should generally be able to respond within 24 hours. And if I'm not, and then you like ping me in IRC, I definitely will.
Right.
But we're like trying to stay on top of, you know, like keeping things marked as flaky within Sitcom itself whenever there's issues. So maybe what we can do is do a sprint right now to get it green on all of the release lines, and then just try to like, you know, stay on top of it. It is a bit of a moving target. Modules can do something that makes it fail. But I think that, you know, it would be good for us to be on top of that.
Yeah, if it was green, then we could put it in the nightly even, and then, you know, as soon as that goes red, it means something landed the day before. So it's.
Well, there are some things in there that are somewhat perpetually red, not because of Node, but because of something that's failing in those modules. It'd be really interesting, you know, or I think it'd be beneficial for us to have another status for those things that we know are already broken, so that when we do a new run, right, we know that those are not necessarily something that we broke.
Well, there is like the flaky status in Sitcom itself, and it will not report modules that inside the lookup are flaky as flaky. So we just need to keep that list up to date. And that just becomes difficult when projects break things, you know, in their NPM releases.
Okay, so second Freon's back. Hi, welcome. And I see Colin joined us as well, so that's cool. The one final piece of business I want to bring up, unless we want to talk, unless anybody has anything else to say on the version 8 release date / Canary in the Gold Mine stuff, which I'll just stop for a second to let someone say something if they want to. Cool. So the one other thing I want to bring up is Rod sent an email indicating that he was turning over basically chairing of meetings to me. Our governance indicates that the meeting chair should be selected by the CTC. So I wanted to at least throw out there that if anybody thinks we should
Hey, Rich,
have an election,
I think you're off.
that we should do that. But I'm sorry, somebody saying something?
Oh, I was just saying that I definitely choose you.
Yeah, I second it. Rox, you've been doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. So I'm certainly happy with just leaving it as is, but if anybody wants to Like, I don't know if anybody, like, are you worried that we need to do it just to satisfy the process?
No, I think so my thinking is that if nobody objects to just me taking it on, then great. I'm just going to take it on. I want to just throw out there that if anybody at all objects, then we should go through then we should definitely go through the process. So if anybody has an objection, they should voice it, in email or here or something. That's all I want to say.
I mean, I think what that would probably look like is there anyone else that would prefer to do that role?
I recommend anybody who's thinking maybe they would to please review the wiki page we have about setting up meetings first and try to do that because it gets tedious fast. But anyway,
Yeah.
Cool. So so no resolution on. I mean, just if at any point anybody wants to take it on, awesome, and we'll go from there.
I would also just follow up with that. I mean, just similarly, Rod has asked me to take over as the TSC chair while he retains the TSC director position. I will be asking a similar question at tomorrow's TSC meeting just to make sure that everyone's good with that. So just kind of think about that as well.
And with that, I think unless someone has something else to add, I think it's time to solicit questions from the world. And while we're doing that, read off meetings that are coming up. I mentioned Learn in Oakland this Saturday. If you are interested in becoming a Node.js contributor and you're not, this is a great event to do it. Saturday, April 22nd at 10 a.m. local time in Oakland, California. There is a TSC meeting tomorrow, and I only know this because James just said so. And I believe it's at 2000 UTC. The next CTC meeting is 1 week from today, also at 2000 UTC, so 4 hours later than this meeting started. And there is a collaborator summit in Berlin on May 4th and 5th. I think that's before JSConf.eu, or maybe it's after JSConf.eu, but it's sort of before, thank you, to JSConf.eu. And if you are on the CTC or TSC or otherwise heavily involved in some Node stuff in core, there is a TC39 meeting, I think, in New York on May 22nd, and Miles is arranging a sort of a meet and greet dinner type event, if I'm understanding it correctly. So is that
correct?
Miles? I'm going to assume yes.
The day before the meeting on May 22nd, there will be a dinner / meet and greet for Node.js and the TC39. There will also be an opportunity at JSConf to potentially have some conversations that's unrelated, but there's discussion right now about trying to get more TC39 members to JSConf.eu, and perhaps there'll be an opportunity there as well. But at the very least, I was talking about maybe doing a meet and greet or a dinner between the members of the V8 team and the Node.js CTC TSC and assorted family and friends who are going to be around during JSConf. So I'll follow up with more details about that later.
Awesome. And last but not least, there is a foundation calendar, a Google Calendar that lists all sorts of working group meetings and whatnot. Link is in the minutes. And Jeremiah, do we have any questions?
Before we get to the questions, I wanted to just let folks know Intel has donated a server that Nearform will be hosting as a dedicated benchmark machine for running benchmarks. We're going to have the details on getting that set up, and we're going to be working with the build team on getting that hooked up to the environment, but it's dedicated hardware just for running benchmarks. So very happy that Intel donated that. I'll have more messaging on it later, but just wanted to let everybody know.
Nice.
That'll definitely be helpful in running the large set of regression type benchmarks that are in Node. So that'll be good.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I'll have the specs on it later, but it's a really nice piece of hardware for doing that. So.
Okay. Someone asks if Node.js has any certification training. No, that's not specifically technical related, but
I can briefly speak to that. There is not right now, but that is being worked on by the community, the communication committee. They are putting together the curriculum right now, and I'm not sure a timeline on it, but it is definitely happening. I can make sure that the Node.js Twitter puts out an update on that in the near future, so that people can see what's going on right now.
I think that oh, there, Psychoprion found it. Yeah, there's a link that and I think there's also the education wing of the foundation is working on. I think there's also a GitHub issue somewhere. We'll try to get that information in the minutes.
Tracy Hines, aka Hacky Go Lucky, is leading that effort. So she's definitely the one to kind of reach out for, especially if anyone wants to help with the effort. Reaching out to her would be fantastic.
So the short answer is no, not yet, but hopefully soon. Is that it for questions?
yeah, I did solicit for them a little bit late, but
All right. See, Anna has joined us, so add her to the attendees here.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Anna.
All right. Well, then, unless there are further thoughts and objections, I think that's a wrap on the public portion of the meeting. So, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.